There it is.
All right.
Nice.
How's well? First, I have to ask, how's everything? Because it's been like a good what? How many? I was there. What? 20.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's been a minute, man. Don't remind me. It's gonna make me feel old. It was like before the pandemic. That's how long ago it was.
It was, and then surprisingly, people find out that I just vanished. I just left, and then that new year, nobody knew anything about me. Like I was just completely gone.
Yeah, how
Only
you doing, man? What's up? What's been up with you?
Well, now I'm lucky that I have the day off, and it's actually perfect time because we are in the middle of like a blizzard. So,
Yeah, yeah, I saw that shit. Yeah, it's crazy looking.
so in the meantime, I've just been really working a lot, and hopefully getting ready to hopefully if I do get my taxes right, I can get a car, and then I was thinking about actually moving to Florida. Um,
Oh wow, okay.
with me and a couple of friends who like share like the same YouTube ideas and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
But overall, it's been fun. Now, let me ask you. I mean, I know like at one point you were with Build On, and then you weren't, and then and I know you ended up moving back home.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so like, what have you been up to like lately?
Yeah, I'm back home. So when I came back, I spent like basically like four months unemployed, like looking for jobs like crazy. Got a bunch of interviews, but didn't get official offers to anywhere, which
Yeah,
was a bummer. Like interviewed with the Grizzlies to work there, which would have been
I
crazy.
remember you telling me about that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, like that would have been super dope. But they ended up going with somebody else. Whatever. I'm not salty. I'm salty. But yeah, ended up being unemployed for a little bit, and then got a job like about a month before the pandemic hit. In like I guess that was January of 2020. Working at a university here in admissions. So that's what I've been doing ever since. Yeah, just found out that I got into graduate school. Was
Okay.
applying this fall to start in the fall of 2022. So I've heard back from two of the schools, Georgetown and American, which are both in DC, and I'll be pursuing one of them. The Georgetown is a Master of Public Policy, and American is a Master of Political Communication. So I have five other schools to hear back from sometime in like March, basically, and then I have to decide by April. So I'm into my job here in May, and then I'll be
Hmm.
moving up to the coast again sometime in right before August.
So you got a lot of decisions to make, right? You got a
A
lot of.
lot of decisions to make, man. A lot. Yes, sir. Yeah, yeah. Have to wait. Hopefully, I get into the other schools and then can just like pit them against each other and get them to give me more money. We'll see if that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's it's a pretty exciting time. Like I love Memphis, but I'm ready to leave for a little while again, if not for a long while. So yeah,
Okay, so before we get to Memphis, because I'm kind of jealous right now, because I like this place of yours looks like a perfect setup room. I swear, like it looks like almost like a perfect setup. And also about school, I don't think I might go to school until probably like I'm 24, simply because
yeah,
I've tried so hard to be able to get into school, but the fact that the main reason is I've got accepted by BMCC, like the school that I really wanted to go to, but the fact that it always draws me back to the fact that without the financial like aid part where I need like my parents' paperwork that they never have, it's like I won't be able to be considered independent where I can just do paperwork on my own until I'm 24. So it's like
right.
no rush. I'm gonna continue like making videos and taking the time that I have off to just do my passions really because like I stood up till like 2 3 in the morning editing videos and stuff like that. That's kind of like my thing. Like even if it's like a 10-second video, I'll spend hours on it just to make it perfect.
Yeah,
So when I do end up going to school, I do end up wanting to take a major in like video somewhere in that category where I could be like a
yeah,
professional and like learn how to make things that like kind of are like fake seem kind of real. I mean, I sent you like a few clips in there. A lot of things like can be kind of cartoony, but I kind of want them to come to life. So um, so speaking about Memphis, we're at a apparently he's a Ja Morant is an All Star starter now. So it's like how do you feel about that? And I think they are the third or fourth seed, I believe.
yeah, man. They're the third seed right now, man. I'm excited about Ja, man. He's been absolutely incredible. Just like a heck of a player. I remember I was in New York when the draft happened, and or when the draft lottery happened, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so we had like a very small percentage chance to get a top four pick. And I remember like when I knew we were going to be in the bottom four, I thought we had a chance at Zion, and I was like losing my mind, right? Because
Yeah.
like Zion has been heralded as this guy who's going to save franchises, going to be like one of the best players in the NBA for a decade. And then we got number two, and I was like, I was really excited, obviously, because we got number two, and I knew Ja would be good, but I was kind of upset because we didn't get Zion, right? And we were like
Yeah.
that close. But honestly, I was an idiot. Like Ja is so much better than Zion. I don't
Look at
even care
Zion
about
now.
Zion
That's the
anymore.
thing.
Like Zion's played like what, like 50 games in the NBA. Like Ja's out here averaging 26 points a game, carrying to the Grizzlies to a top three seed in the West. Like he's a top 10 player in the NBA, I think. Like he deserves top five MVP recognition this season at a minimum.
Yeah,
He's
he's in there.
he's
Yeah, he's in
fun.
there.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And I believe last night he just had like a 26-point triple double. But the fact that like it's just like you'd be surprised like a lot of the teams that just come up out of nowhere. Like you'll find the Jazz, like Denver, like Memphis. Like last year, I don't know what their record was last year, but the fact that does Ja Morant remind you of any like player? I mean, he plays with such a like a beginning of like a Derrick Rose type thing where his athleticism is just able to slash right through the paint, like to be honest, like and like
Yeah,
not really have like much of a challenge. I can't think of other like as far as mentality, he resembles stuff like Westbrook, maybe Kobe, like where he
mm-hmm.
just doesn't care, he's gonna go right at you. But as far as like play style, he's in a short list because there's hasn't been like a lot of point guards like in just NBA
Yeah.
lifetime that like play at like his pace. Do you see like anybody that you might be able to compare him
No,
to?
I'm with you. I think Rose is a great comparison. Yeah, I think Westbrook is a great comparison. I think the difference I've seen between him and those guys is both of those guys I think had like a just like an aggressive athleticism to them,
Yeah.
right? Like where they would just like there was like almost like it wasn't like springiness in their step. It was like they would just like pound the rock. You know what I'm saying? Just
Yeah.
like crazy amounts of force. And
Hmm.
Ja like seems to like float through the air. And so I think it's just different. Like, I think it's yeah, and I think the other thing that he does that I didn't see Rose do as much when he was younger is just like Ja's able to operate anywhere within the paint. Like Rose got a
Hmm.
floater as he got into that fourth and fifth season, but
Yeah.
even in his MVP season, like that wasn't his specialty. Like Ja has it all. The guy that I heard somebody compared to recently, which I really loved, was Tony Parker. And just the ability to every time he wants to get to the paint, he will get there. And obviously, Tony Parker doesn't have
Yeah.
the athleticism that
Yeah.
Ja does, but he does have that ability to take any guy, big, small, right, somebody who's strong, somebody who's not, into the paint and get whatever sort of shot he wanted off. And so I really like that comparison. But yeah, man, we were like a 500 team last year, and like definitely showed some good signs. We missed Jaren Jackson last year. But yeah, the Grizzlies have taken a huge step, and it's not just Ja, man. Desmond Bain
Desmond
has
Bain.
turned
Yeah.
into a really good player. He's taken a huge leap, and then Jaren Jackson, he should be in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation. He has gone from a guy who like used to foul out like once a week, it seemed like, to
Hmm.
where he blocked 39 shots in his last 10 games. Like just insanity, man. Like he's incredible.
It's crazy. I think I don't. I hope this isn't like a season where they get to the playoffs and out of nowhere. Like I would hope that they make it like I don't want them to get bounced in the first round. I know that's not happening because I
Yeah,
think
yeah. I
I
hope
think
not either.
I don't.
I'll tell you, man. Right now, they're gonna have a tough matchup. Right now, they're faced against Denver in the first round, which would be rough. It'd be rough.
The thing is, I don't. I think they've shown enough to every single top contender.
Yeah,
Like forget about the Lakers because we know that they haven't really idolized who they are. But as
right.
far as like Golden State, Denver, Brooklyn, Milwaukee, they've shown like who they are, and they've been able to put up a lot of great numbers and show that I think they can go a full Game 7 series. And I would hope that if they do match up with Denver, I still think that they still could probably make. I don't know what second place is looking like. I don't know how far they are. I think they just got a
Yeah,
win last night, but I think it's possible that if they get second and probably match up with somebody who knows? Because that's gonna be the problem. If they match up second or third, they might end up facing the Lakers. They might beat them in the first round. Because realistically, we just had a healthy AD last night, but then again, LeBron didn't play, which sucks. So it's like
Yeah.
we're never gonna get the chance to like see these guys drop 30, 30, 20. So I think I think the Grizzlies are something special. I would just hope that Ja is one of those players that doesn't really get injured, because I like the fact that you brought up Zion, because realistically, Zion's played like how many games? Is this gonna be to like a point where is he gonna care? Is he gonna like do like the whole James Harden Philadelphia thing where he's gonna
Well,
get his way out?
you heard he's working out in Portland.
Somebody
He
told me
like
that
that's where he's doing his injury rehab, and it's like you're not even doing your injury rehab
with
in
your
the
own
city
team.
where you play basketball, like with
Yeah,
your own teammates. Like, so you're not around the team at all. Like, what is happening, dude? What is your job? You get paid millions of dollars to go to another city to rehab? Like, no.
I think this NBA business is starting to I not say fall, but I think they are, because first it was James Harden. He completely like abused what he had like over in Houston just to get himself out. Now if
Yeah.
you look at the Ben Simmons situation, he's sitting on his
Mhm.
couch but he's not playing the entire year. And then there's talks about them trading. I personally would I like to get Westbrook off the team. Yes, his energy is great, but it doesn't produce numbers wise. He just
Yeah.
had 35 last night. I didn't check his turnovers, so I think
Well,
I think if they were to make a trade for Ben, I think, because realistically, he's not a bad player. He's only going to start playing good unless he's on a different team.
yeah.
Like if he were to show up right now and play on the court, he wouldn't even try. So I would hope that like Zion isn't going to be one of those people who signs a max contract and forces his way out of a bad team just to try to get on like the Warriors or like the Lakers or something.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, man. And yeah, I mean, he would be if he doesn't accept, either the 5-year max, which he'll be able to get offered in the off season,
Mm-hmm.
and he takes the qualifying offer, which I think is like, it's way less money, right? It's like him getting $20 million instead of like 40. He would
Yeah,
be the first like player ever to do that, like ever.
I
And it's
think
like, man, you gotta, but I think what you're saying is actually worse, right? And the idea that he actually takes the big contract and then immediately tries to force his way out. Like I really appreciate player empowerment. I think it's really important. I think players should be able to determine where they go. But I think when you're getting to the point where guys are secure for 3, 4, 5 years down the line,
and
like Ben Simmons,
they're abusing like their team
right,
power
and they're trying
technically.
to force their way out, and they're sitting on the sideline, and he's still getting paid at least part of his contract, if not all of it. Like the NBA is going to get in trouble if it keeps going down this line, like for sure.
I mean, I would hope so that it doesn't go that way. I thought that Zion would be fine simply because out of high school he came out like this big prospect, like the guy who's gonna be similar to like LeBron. But then next thing you know,
Yeah,
he gets hurt. He shows up to games like in practices 300 pounds. It doesn't like because we haven't seen like I haven't seen any footage out there. I don't know if you've seen any footage of his practices or if he's looking any slimmer or if he's looking like he's even willing to participate for the team.
right.
Um, so I'm not really too sure, but like I said, I hope in comparison, I think Ja was a better pick. Um, but I would just hope that Memphis can really hang up there and get up to maybe number three, number two. So that way, like I said, I would love to see them in the Eastern Conference Finals versus whoever, because I think Ja is just one of those players that he just doesn't care really. He's just gonna get there.
Yeah.
Um,
No, he is not scared of anybody. That's for sure, man. And yeah, they have a shot. I mean, I think it's going to be tough for them to get the 2 seed. I think Golden State's like 3 games ahead of them right now. But with Draymond hurt, like maybe Golden State slips a little bit, and the Grizzlies are pretty healthy, so maybe they keep winning. What I'm really interested in with the Grizzlies is if they're going to make a trade. I think they have several guys who they could make a big upgrade with, right? Like you want to flip, like Steven Adams is a big contract, so you take him, a couple other guys, and some of their first round picks, and try to take like Pascal Siakam from the Raptors. Like you do something like that, and you can make a huge run in the playoffs. I also think they can have like more minor upgrades. Like you trade Kyle Anderson and
mhm.
a first rounder for I don't know Harrison
I want
Barnes.
to keep Desmond Bain though. I want to keep Desmond
Oh
Bain.
no, nobody's trading Desmond Bain. He's not going anywhere, man. He's not going anywhere. Yeah, I went to the first Grizzlies game of the season. They played the Cavaliers here at home, and dude, like Bain, it was like 3 minutes in the game, and he's like running on the fast break and like pulls up a three in transition, and I'm like, wait, what? what this did not happen at all last year. Like where did this come from? He's been doing it ever
I,
since, man.
I'm the type of person that watching JAMORANT, sometimes I have like fear for him because this guy like the way he jumps is just kind of like, I mean, you've seen him try to posterize people and he misses like majority of them, but he ends up landing in like such a like a wonky way that it's just
Yeah,
like
yeah, it's true. It's true.
you don't want like another Derrick Rose situation. But
Yeah.
let me ask you, the NBA is like no, I was used to watching it around like 2012, where it's like every team had like a nice duo, like a nice two pairing co-star thing. But now it seems like as far as like big men in the NBA, we only talk about like really two, you know, or well, considering that AD is like hasn't been playing, he's more of like a four. We're talking
Yeah.
about like Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic. It's just,
Right.
do you find it just like weird that the NBA is just like now has just moved over to just like, because I personally, me, I don't like seeing every pick and roll where it being like an AD on the 3 point line or like a Joel on the 3 point line.
Yeah.
Um, how do you feel about that? Like that it's just like more 3 point oriented nowadays. It's not like nobody catches the ball and just goes right in. They just swing
Right.
it out and run a pick and roll for a three.
Yeah, man. I mean, the over reliance on threes has definitely affected a lot. I definitely get super annoyed seeing guys hang out on the perimeter too much. It's a big complaint I have of Jaren Jackson Jr. Sometimes he sticks on the 3 point line too much in a game and like will not go into the paint. And if your threes aren't falling, you're just not getting any points because then you're not going to get foul calls. Like you're not going to pull up for two as a big guy. Like that very rarely happens. So yeah, man, I think it affects a lot. I think it helps, certain guys dominate when I don't think that they could have as easily like back in the day. Like I don't think Curry could have been the same guy in the like 90s or early 2000s as he is today.
Yeah.
Like it's just a lot easier for him to get off these crazy amount of threes and have all this floor spacing and stuff. But yeah, man, like when it comes to especially like bad players taking threes, I hate it. It makes me cringe. Like I saw Dale McGee take a three the other day, and I
Or
was just
Dwight
like, "Can
Howard
you
or something
stop?"
like that. It's just
Yeah, it's just like, bro, get out of here. Like nobody wants to watch you do that. Like I'd literally rather watch the shot clock expire and you get a turnover than watch Dwight Howard take a three.
well, now I have to ask because it's more like a 7 foot type thing, and I've been seeing somebody who's been really working on the jumper, which I'm surprised. And I always told myself like 2 years ago, only definitely 2 years ago, that if this guy had a jump shot, he would be definitely crazy. I don't know if you've been seeing Giannis lately doing a lot of mid post, a lot of elbow, a lot of shooting off the post fade.
Yeah.
If this
Yeah,
guy,
I think that's what he's got to work on. I think it seems pretty clear to me that the 3 pointer is never going to fall consistently enough for him. Like I think he can still shoot it, 2 or 3 times a game to keep defenses honest.
Mhm.
But I think what you're talking about, where he's taking those mid post fadeaways, like that Dirk type of shot, like that's what he's got to be working on because that is literally unguardable.
he's
And
made some, yeah.
it's a much easier shot to make when you don't have a pure jump shot like he doesn't. You know what I'm saying? Like you
Mhm.
can use your length and height to make that. Where when you're shooting a three, like you have to have the pure form. So I'm excited to see him expand his game like that. I think it's important for him to try stuff like that in the season so that when he gets to the playoffs, he's an improved player. Like I think Giannis, like really the reason they won the ship last year is because he took a huge leap when it came to decision making,
Mhm.
especially like late in the shot clock. Like he used to just like force crap up or just like barrel his way into the paint and get a foul call. But in the playoffs, he was making like the perfect call, the perfect execution. So I think like adding this like step back jumper and that sort of stuff to his game can enhance that even more.
I think that finals run that he had last year was probably, it was crazy. Like I never just thought that at the end of his run against KD that he would drop I think 50 in that game, and then 50
Yeah,
in the last game of the finals,
that was wild.
which is kind of ridiculous. But going back to like the 3 point shot, it's kind of weird because ever since Clay came back, people assumed that the whole dynamic of the Warriors was just gonna be Splash
Mm,
Brothers kind of thing. And the other night they
yeah,
just both had five threes. But I think the one thing that they're missing is I don't think that their depth is going to be too great because think about it. You had guys that are like so used to taking so many shots, and then again, you also have a situation where Draymond Green is out. So now these guys have to create for themselves instead of having
yeah.
their guy who hits the hard screens but also passes off the ball. I
Mm.
mean, do you? I don't want to like jinx it or anything like that because I feel like some point within the next 5 maybe 7 years they might win another championship. Do you think that the way they're looking right now, if they do get like their whole team healthy, meaning Steph, Clay, and Draymond, that they'll win it this year?
Yeah, man. I mean, I think they have a chance. I mean, without Draymond, they absolutely do not have a chance. I think
Mm-hmm.
they have literally a 0% chance to win the championship without Draymond. I mean, Draymond is so important to that team. He can guard 1 through 5. More importantly, he can guard the best player on every other team.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not, he's not going to be the lockdown defender on a guy like Devin Booker, probably. But like when it gets to those big forwards and centers like Jokic or KD or anybody, like Giannis, he's gonna be the guy. So I think he's super important to making sure they win. But without him, you're right, man. It depends too much on their depth, and they just don't have it. They have way too many young guys. They've got way too many guys who are like really good role players, but aren't like good creators. And Clay's looking good and like getting back into form. I think his drive looks better than I think it like really ever
He looks
has.
taller too. He looks
He
like
really does. It's kind of weird, isn't it?
he
does.
looks like, I thought he was like a 6 foot. I don't know what he was listed as. People sometimes said 6'9". I thought it was 6'7", but he looks like when he's just running out there, he literally looks like he's like 6'10", like he's taller than everybody.
Yeah, he looks lankier. He definitely looks skinnier. So I think he's looking good, and him hitting 5 threes was like a nice thing to see. But they need Draymond, man. They absolutely need
Mm-hmm.
Draymond. Like Draymond is like I don't know. MVP is like a weird thing to vote on, and Draymond would never get consideration because he has such low stats. But
But what he
like,
does for the team is.
he's one of the most valuable players in the NBA. Like, he may not be the most
Mhm.
valuable player every season, but like, if you take him away from that team, like they're devastated, almost as much as taking Curry away from them.
Now speaking about MVP, because this is what the problem's been around the NBA. LeBron is playing on a team who's not winning, but he's performing 29 points. He's about to
Mm-hmm.
be leading the league in scoring. You have
Yeah.
Kevin Durant, who was considered the MVP probably at the start, but he's like getting hurt.
Yeah. Right.
Giannis, he might be in there in the top five, and Steph, he had a great start of the season, but now he's having some
Mm.
slumps.
Yeah.
As far as the other two players like Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic, they're still the probably top two or top three.
I would
But I
agree.
feel like if Memphis matches up with them more and they beat them more, I think like legitimately has a chance to win it simply because all the great teams that he's faced, he's like knocked them out, and he does it in like a statement where it's like, um, his intensity is just what brings him like those MVP kind of points. Do you think he could win it this year as there,
I think he can, man. I really do. I mean, I think you look at like his baseline stats, and they're basically equal to Jokic. Like they're both averaging 26 points a game. They're both averaging 7 assists a game. Jokic has 14 rebounds, but he's also like 7'2".
Say
Like
exactly.
he's Ja's averaging 6 rebounds a game, which is a lot for a tiny point guard. So
Yep.
that's still pretty good. Like Jokic has a better field goal percentage, but they're shooting the same from three. And the Grizzlies have like 7 more wins, and I think that's a big deal when it comes to MVP counting. I think what hurts Ja is he went out for 12 games, and the Grizzlies went 10-2 without him. And so I think there's kind of that like narrative arc that
Heard
like,
about
oh, the
that, yeah.
Grizzlies are a good complete team. It's not just because of Ja. I hope that doesn't hurt him. I think that would be a silly thing to count against him. I think the other thing for Jokic is that his team around him is so completely garbage that really helps his MVP case. It's like the Westbrook MVP season where he literally was playing with straight scrubs, but they
Yeah.
like got into the playoffs. Everybody was like, you should win the MVP just for dragging like Thabodeau Cephalosha into the playoffs.
And for the triple double award for
Yeah, right.
passing.
Exactly. So, yeah, man. But I think Ja for sure has a shot at it, which I think is like really remarkable to say, especially like early into the season when, he was playing really well, but probably wasn't even considered like a top 10 candidate. But if he does what he's done, the last like 5 games, he's scored more than 30 points every
Mm-hmm.
game. He's had more than 10 assists, I think 2 or 3 of those times. They've
Yep.
gone like 4-1. He's had like a lot of clutch shots. Like if he keeps doing this sort of stuff, he's gonna have a real argument. But they got to finish with a top 2 or 3 record for sure. That's the bare minimum.
Now, how do you view the MVP award? Because there are some people that think that it's more of like your team has to be winning, and then you have to have that top player, and
Yeah.
and I just don't understand it because it's weird. Because in my eyes, leading the league in the NBA, I'd feel like the NBA MVP is all about who's the best player.
Mm.
Now, then you could say that maybe from 2014 all the way till 2022, LeBron should have had probably maybe like six or seven. Not okay.
Right.
I'm just getting out of hand, but realistically, like, how do you think the MVP is award is based? Is it based off like, are you actually like the best player in the NBA, or do you have to be like the best player, but also have to be like the first or second seed?
No, I think it's the latter for sure. I think it's about the combination of being the best player on the best team with the best narrative. And I think narrative plays into it so much, right? Like you have like I think some of the reason that LeBron didn't win some of his like MVPs, like one year it was because like Derrick Rose just like took the league by storm. And he was just insane. He didn't have better stats than LeBron. Like his team only had like three or four more wins, but it was because like he literally just like the only like you were either talking about Derrick Rose or LeBron the entire NBA season, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the narrative arc matters a lot. I personally think it would be a lot of fun if the MVP continued to be the way it is, and at sometime in June or July when the season is officially over, they do a best player in the world award. And that is after the postseason has happened, right? And you say, who, if you could take one guy to win the championship right now, like who is the best player in the world? And then like you have like, you have a guy like KD, right? Who feels like his entire career he should have been the best player in the world and he was never recognized as that.
Mm-hmm.
Thought after winning the championship with the Warriors, he would finally be recognized, but people never gave him the credit because he won with Steph and Clay and Draymond.
Mm-hmm.
But like if they had had the greatest player in the world award, I promise you he would have won it both of those years, and maybe he would have chilled out a little bit. You know what I'm saying? It wouldn't have been so intense.
I think for me personally, the way I would love to see the MVP award be awarded is one, the second the season is done, like the second the 82 games. I don't want to get it to where Giannis was crowned MVP or Defensive Player of the Year like 3 rounds into like the playoffs, because I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure that's how they did it the last year, or no, the year when Giannis won, not Jokic. I think
Yeah, I mean they make everybody vote right after the season, but they don't give the award out until the playoffs, which is weird. It's just
I don't
because they
think that's
want to
fair because
dominate the conversation. I don't like
I
it. Yeah,
think that I think that's taking it too much into consideration, because
I
let's say
agree.
if Giannis played the first round and dropped a 50 piece, there's no way that that won't like sway somebody else's opinion who's actually like a voter.
Yep.
I think it should be. I think MVP should honestly be like whoever is the best player like in the world at that moment, and I feel like I've gotten to the point where I feel like it should be like a fans voting realistically, because
Oh no, see, hold on. But you're gonna have the fans vote and they're gonna vote for somebody like Andrew Wiggins, bro. Andrew
yeah,
Wiggins
I knew you
is
were
an
gonna say that.
all-star starter because of fans. He's the worst all-star starter in the history of the NBA, and it's because of fans. So I don't trust the
Do you
fans.
feel like some of the guys that actually made the All Star selection? Do you think that they were like DeMar DeRozan made it, but Zach Levine didn't? He was like a reserve. And to think about it, I think the crazy thing about the All Star game is that the fans vote in like a lot of like Alex Caruso or like a
Yeah,
Lamelo
right.
Ball type thing. Like they have so much like for players who don't really do much, they call them like the GOAT, or they
Well,
feel so much excitement for them.
so what I heard about Wiggins is that Golden State has partnered with one of the guys who's in BTS, that Korean band,
Hmm.
like that Korean pop band, and
Yeah,
so
I've
he's
heard of that.
very,
Yeah.
very popular in Korea, and he's their global ambassador. And so for the last few months, he has been publicly advocating, especially for Curry and Wiggins, to get nominated for the All Star game. And so he has like 15 million followers on Instagram and all this other stuff, right? And so people think that a lot of the reason that Wiggins got so many votes is because all these people that were fans of this musician just voted for him, just because they like the musician and the musician asked for it.
It's just weird. So I want to switch topics because I feel like this guy is getting older. So like and I don't mean you talked about him for many years in school and throughout
Yeah,
life.
sure.
Like can we describe how, like LeBron James as just like a player, and like what is like I me personally never thought I would see him drop 43 or in this year, and it's weird just to say that. It's weird to say that LeBron is almost 2,000 points, like literally less than 2,000 points away from Kareem. Like,
Yeah.
do you think do you think his legacy will be set with like passing Kareem and maybe like another championship? Like what do you think he has like left? Like he's still going. Like it's crazy.
He is still going, man. It's wild. I mean, I think in terms of, I mean, I personally think he's already the greatest player of all time. I think even if he were to win two more championships, which would give him six, which would tie him with Jordan, right, for at least the
Hmm.
number that they won,
Yeah.
he would also have six losses to be technical, which means he would have been to 12 championships to Jordan's six. But whatever. Even if he does that, I think there's still going to be people who say that Jordan is better, right? Like that
Hmm.
argument is just always going to exist. It's always going to be there. I personally think that if he gets the scoring lead and wins one more title, the majority of people will say LeBron is the greatest player of all time. But I think something that people should talk about more when it comes to LeBron, and the thing that has really amazed me this season, and it seems to happen every year, is just how adaptable the guy is.
Adaptability.
I
That's
mean,
the word I was looking
he
for.
right. I mean, he came into the NBA as this like incredibly athletic, dominant guy. Like basically, like it's like he's a fucking tight end playing in the NBA. It's like it's Rob Gronkowski, but he's playing in the NBA, right? So he's
Yeah.
faster and stronger than literally every single person on the court. And over the course of his career, he like adds a post game. He becomes an elite defender, how to take jump shots. And now he's like in age 37. He's shooting shots than he ever has in his career. He's shooting one of the highest 3-point percentages of his career. And he's playing center for the first time. He's starting at center and he's 37. Like it makes no sense. It's incredible that he's able to do this and just keep adapting. So, and like Jordan just never could have done this.
Is there anything? Is there anything else that he's missing? Hello.
Becoming a 40% 3-point shooter, I really think that is like a goal in his career is one season to hit 40% on high volume. Um, Beyond that, like, no. Like, I mean, another championship would be nice to add to the resume.
Yeah. It's just I just find it like so like fascinating because it's like I'm expecting LeBron to, but the thing is, the great word they used was adaptability. The thing is, when you look at his entire class of who was in his draft class, it's only him and Melo left. But
Yep.
him, out of the last 20, 19 years, however much he's played, he's like the only player who's actually cared about making sure his food, his health is good, making sure his body is strong, and that's I think the one thing about him that separates him from everybody else is his strength. I mean, the game just comes so easy to him just because how easy he's able to bum rush people to like the basket, or
Yeah.
him shooting eight threes a game. He's making maybe like 3 to 4, which isn't like bad. I think the one thing that which I wish would help in this situation is maybe having like a person like Russ come off the bench. In the meantime, it's who they've got, because it's weird. I mean, they had their lineup isn't that much similar from the 2020 roster that won. It's not that much different from the Ross that one in the bubble. I mean,
Yeah.
who they let go of JaVale. They have picked up DeAndre Jordan. They have Dwight, Anthony
Yeah, they don't
Davis.
have. I think the big difference is they don't have perimeter defense. They had that the year they won. They had Caruso and KCP, and I think that really matters. You have those guys who can play elite perimeter defense against guys like Curry and Donovan Mitchell and Devin Booker and Chris Paul, the guys who you're going to face in the West playoffs. Um, yeah, man. I mean, the guy is just unreal. I really hope he wins another championship. It'd be a lot of fun. I'm not very hopeful of it. I think at least maybe not moving Westbrook to the bench, but at least benching him at the end of the game if he's not playing defense or he's not shooting the ball well and other guys are playing well. Like sit him down, man. Like you got to do what you got to do to try to win. He's definitely one of the worst contracts in the NBA and one of the most frustrating people to watch play basketball ever, especially at this point in his career. So I think LeBron made a huge mistake putting him on the team.
So I have to ask you: do you like what is the one? Is it a certain move that they're missing, or what is the one piece that they're missing? What's like LeBron can play every position. We've seen him play point guard. Now he's playing
Yeah.
center. What's me personally? I love to see him at the point running with like a shooter. But like what are they missing?
I mean, I to be honest, man, I think they're pretty hopeless. I think
Hmm.
they from what I know, they only have like one first round pick to trade, and it's like way out. It's like 2028 or something like that.
27. Yeah, that's what they said.
They have like a couple of like decent contracts to trade, and like Taylor Horton Tucker,
Hmm.
but like he's been terrible, man. He's had a really bad year. So like I don't really know if you can trade him for anything of value. So in terms of any of the like worthy guys around the NBA who are talked about being traded, like Jeremy Grant or what's his face from the Kings, Barnes, Harrison
Buddy
Barnes,
Hield and
or
Terrence
Buddy Hield, like
Ross.
they can't get any of them. So it's gonna come to buyout guys, and like sure they might get somebody like Paul Millsap off the buyout, but like what is that really gonna do to help them?
He's getting older,
I
so it's
think
not going to help. It's like
yeah,
Andre Drummond.
I think they're pretty screwed at the end of the day. I think they have very little chance to win the championship unless Westbrook finds what he found in Houston. If he's able to find that way to basically be like what Bruce Brown does in the Nets, right? He basically plays like a guard center role. Like if he can play that at an elite level while sharing the floor with LeBron and AD, and they can find two other guys to play that like shooter defense role, it's possible. But I just don't trust Westbrook, man. I don't.
I hate to be like this, but I think Westbrook is just one of those players, like many other players in the league, that you can do so much on a bad team and get them to as far as you can. Like
Mm,
OKC after KD left first round and out. Wizards first round and out, he got them there. But what he get? Triple double average for 3 straight seasons. Like that's the most that he can do. Um, it's just sad, really. You know, like I would hope. Let me ask you: Do you think LeBron is it okay for him at the end of his career to just get a pass and just to be traded or signed to like a team that he deserves to be like that one extra, that or is he because
yeah.
he's like so great that people would knock him off if he went to like a team, but people don't realize the thing is if LeBron was playing terrible, they would accept him on like a bad team, on like a great team to on like a
Right.
Golden State off the bench. But since he's still considered the top two, like he can't go to like a team like Brooklyn, Milwaukee, or Golden State. Do you think he deserves that?
Uh, yeah. I think it'd be really nice to see him have again more chances at a championship. I think it'd be really fascinating to see LeBron try to turn into like a bench guy. Like where or like maybe not even a bench guy, but like the third or fourth guy on a team in terms of like ball handling.
Option, yeah.
Right. Like I think that would be the most difficult transition of his career, and one that he clearly has not made, even though the team has tried to put, ball handlers around him and has tried to put him in less of an offensive role. They haven't either been good enough or he hasn't been willing to make that switch. I actually think the really fun thing to happen would be when his contract is up, I think in 2 years, Cleveland drafts his son and he goes to play with Mobley, Jared Allen, Darius Garland, and
Colin
his kid.
Sexton, I think maybe.
Yeah, if Sexton's still there, that's cool too. But either way, you have those three guys. You had LeBron's kid, LeBron Jr., and you had LeBron. And like then he tries to win one more championship for Cleveland, but like as the third or fourth most important guy. Like that sort of thing is really fun to me. I don't want to see him go play with Golden State. I definitely don't want to see him like play with KD. Like forget that.
That's
Like I
over
guess
then.
maybe somebody like Jokic would be really cool to see those two guys on the court together.
Hmm.
But like Cleveland, I think would be really cool to see if like he's the sort of third or fourth guy. If he can move into that role and help push them over to the edge to the championship, that would be an incredible story for sure.
Now this is my second to last question. I know you're gonna like this one.
Okay, okay.
We both already feel the same way about LeBron being like the greatest, and I put him there simply because he does like, what is it that he doesn't do like on a basketball court?
Right.
Like he does it at like a lot higher level. Okay, we compare it to so many other people. Yeah, yeah. Other people are like considered like Jordan and Kobe were considered like a lot. Like you saw them for their scoring, but nobody ever takes the fact that LeBron can average as much points as he wants to, but also get 10 rebounds a night and 10 rebound like and a 10 assists a night. Why
Yeah.
do you think like what makes you say LeBron is like better than Kobe, Jordan? Is it just his overall, just what everything that he does, and or is it the fact that he's lost in the finals for a lot of time, but Jordan and Kobe have never faced people like a KD, like a Dirk, a Tim Duncan, like.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are a lot of arguments to it. I mean, I think the one that I stick to most is like when you're asking me who's the greatest basketball player of all time, I want the guy who can do everything on a basketball court, right? Like I want somebody who can not only be the best defender, who can possibly be the best shooter, who can be the best passer, who can be the best defender, who can switch, from guarding a point guard to the power forward to the center, who can do all of those roles. And the guy I see doing all of that at an elite level is LeBron. Kobe's always had gaps in his game. Jordan has always had gaps in his game. LeBron, I think, has been the most well-rounded player in NBA history, and it shows because of all the ridiculous amount of stats that he's accumulated, all
Mm-hmm.
of the different teams that he's dominated with, all of the different, games that he's won, all the ways that his, game personally has translated and altered as he's gotten older and he's gotten less athletic. Um, but yeah, man, I think he's a better player. I think that's the first thing you can say, and then I think you can say that like he's faced better competition. He's faced teams that were at a higher level than Jordan or Kobe ever faced, and that's a big reason that he does have 6 losses in the finals. Um, I don't think the debate between LeBron and Kobe really exists anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's basically just LeBron and Jordan at this point.
Yeah.
I think Kobe was a really incredible player, but LeBron is about to be like in a couple of years will be the leading scorer in NBA history, and he will have 10,000 assists and 10,000 rebounds. Like nobody's even close to getting to that mark again, and nobody's gotten there before. And like Kobe has 5 championships, which is technically one more, but LeBron's been to the championship 5 more times than Kobe.
Mm-hmm.
And Kobe won the first 3 championships because of Shaquille O'Neal. Like it's
Yeah.
just a fact. If Shaq wasn't there, Shaq was the best player in the
Averaged like
NBA.
33 and 15 at the
Yeah, he
in
was
those finals.
exactly. He was the best player in the NBA. He was the best player on that team by a wide margin, especially the first 2 years. By the third year, like it was getting closer at least.
He got all the finals
Like
MVPs.
yeah, and LeBron has been the best player on all 10 championship teams he's gone to and all 4 that he's won.
Mm-hmm.
So, like that just the argument between it can still exist between Jordan and LeBron, but to me, Jordan is the greatest winner of all time.
Mm-hmm.
He's the greatest winner of all time. It is what it is. In a team sport, nobody's ever done what he's done in the history of professional sports.
Two three
Nobody's
peats,
won
right?
every single championship that they've been to and done 2 3-peats in like back to back, almost basically. That's never happened. LeBron is not as great of a winner as Michael Jordan, but he is a better basketball player than Michael Jordan. What do you think, man? Where are you laying on it these days?
I think I 100% agree with you with Kobe. And the funny thing is, Kobe was actually my favorite player growing up. But then
Mm,
as you time goes on, you start to notice what's the differences. Well, okay, Kobe can score. Well, LeBron can score. Kobe can't pass, but LeBron can.
yeah,
Kobe doesn't rebound, but LeBron does. It's like you start to notice that when it's just scoring, you know, you can call Kobe like a I because I don't even know. Like I mean, they both score. I think LeBron has like more game winners at the end of the day. I think,
he does. Yeah,
LeBron and Kobe debate is just like a you're just talking about they it's just a scoring debate really. When it comes to like the better player, LeBron does everything and then some. When it comes to, I think he's automatically a better defender. I know Kobe was like a really good defender, but Kobe can't play all 5 positions. LeBron has
yeah,
just
and I think and Kobe, dude, Kobe was really overrated as his defender in the day. Like he was a good defensive player, but the fact that he's made like 8 defensive first teams,
defensive teams
it's
for
a joke, dude. It's a joke. They saw Kobe on the ballot and they were like, Kobe's gonna be pissed if I don't vote him first. I'm voting him first. Like maybe
yeah.
second team, but not first team. Like, come on, man.
I think LeBron just has it because I think just when we're talking about player, LeBron does everything more than Kobe does, and I think Kobe the only thing you could have said that Kobe was better at than LeBron was probably just probably just scoring in a more of like a flashy, maybe like a more difficult type of way. I don't even know if I
Mm,
could say more difficult, maybe because LeBron takes like more contact in the paint, but Kobe takes more contested shots. That's
yeah,
about it. And LeBron, I feel like, yeah, Jordan once said that Kobe has 5 and LeBron has 1. But I look at the player, so
yeah.
in terms of, I kind of look at Kobe and Jordan both the same, so I would take it that way either way. because I think that what LeBron does, like no other player can like fill his shoes because he does everything on his team. You look at the last finals that he was in. He every single final he's been in, he leads every single category: points, rebounds, assists, steals, blocks. And when they showed that little picture, it's all nothing but his face and both teams. Like
Right.
he dominates both teams and his own team in every single statistical category. And I just think that's just ridiculous. I mean, but I think at the end of the day, I don't know about 40,000. 40,000. If people keep saying 40, 10, and 10 when LeBron retires,
No,
I don't really know. I don't think he'll get to like 40,000. He'll definitely be.
I don't think that's possible.
No,
You have to play until he was like 47. I don't think he's staying around for that long.
I mean, but think about it. He's only less than 2,000 points away from first. So if he can average 2,000 points, maybe 1,500 in a season, I don't know. But we don't want to get too we don't want to get too ahead of that.
He's gonna play 1 year with his kid, and he's gonna retire, or maybe two if he has a really good season. But he ain't staying that long.
Okay. And this was my last question before to see if you had a question for me or anything like that.
Yeah.
Do you have like a top five right now in the NBA of like from best player? Let's say like if we're not excluding injuries because we get it, like those are a part of the league,
Yeah.
and it's
And are
ruined
we
the MVP.
talking regular season or postseason?
That's the thing. A lot of people choke in the postseason. They don't do anything in the postseason.
Yeah.
I think just like by right, not who's the best player in the NBA, but who's like the top five with like let's say if you took away injuries, who would it be? Like you know, like the top
Mhm.
five players in the NBA right now. If you took away injuries.
Okay. So if I had to like choose a guy to start my team with, and I had to win, the whole thing, right? Uh, it's got to be KD first. It's just got to be. The guy's
Yeah.
ridiculous. He it was having like the best statistical career of his year, like less than a year after tearing his Achilles.
Hmm.
Like, and he's an incredible defensive player, and you can put anybody around him, and they're going to be a good team. So I got to take KD first. Um, Probably taking LeBron second, just because I trust his like clutch stats. I trust him putting in the work,
Hmm.
and I trust his ability to make a lot of different teams really good. I'm definitely putting Jokic three. Jokic, I think, is the best like regular season player in the NBA by a mile. I think he does like more for his team in the regular season than almost any other guy, except like maybe Giannis in the whole NBA.
Hmm.
Giannis would probably be my number four, because he's just like incredibly dominant all the time. And then, man, number five is tough.
I'm in a debate between two players for that number five spot because, like you said, now that we're putting in postseason, it's like every single guy that we might have named, only maybe LeBron, KD, and well, Giannis. I think Giannis had like a lot of opponents who had gotten injured. I
Yeah,
mean, because in the first two games that they played against the Nets, when the Nets had their full strength, they got wiped off the floor 2 games, and once Kyrie got injured,
yeah,
they took it to a 7 game series. I was
right.
thinking my last two players would probably either be Joel or Steph, but I don't really know because a lot of them just I don't see like anything from them like out of the well I mean
Yeah. Yeah, for me, I think the last one comes down to Steph, Luca, or Ja. I wouldn't put Embiid in there. I have not seen Embiid's ability to get through four postseason series healthy and be the most dominant player. I've seen him be able to do that in 60 regular season games for several years in a row, and I think that's really impressive. But I also think he deserves a lot of blame for what happened last year against Atlanta. And Simmons takes most of it, which he should. But Embiid like also played badly in certain games in that series when he's supposed to be a guy that comes in and dominates every night. So then when I think you're getting down between Steph, Luca, and Ja, I think there's a lot to criticize about Steph's like record in the postseason. Before he had KD, he definitely had Clay carry him a lot in the most important offensive moments. He really struggled in big game moments, and then KD showed up, and he didn't have to struggle because they were the most dominant team
mhm.
like of all time. So I think it is going to be really interesting to see how he does this postseason when it's just him and Clay, and probably reduced Clay. Um, I think I would probably lean towards Steph just because he's the veteran and because he's like won championships and I trust him the most. But I think Luca and Ja are like right there, man. They're right there on the heels. They have a shot at it.
I was gonna say Ja, especially because consistency. He would probably be my five simply because of consistency. Like I said, I feel like this season he's taken like the league by storm. Like I said, if you look at like all the, I personally I don't have NBA League Pass. I don't watch the games fully. I watch like the highlights and stuff like that. But from what I see,
Yeah,
you take all the best teams in the NBA and he's knocked them off, and he's also had like a great performance like with that.
yeah.
He completely swept off the Lakers. I think it was a 3-1, but they're not really considered top. As far as like Golden State, I think they're in the winning record.
Mm,
Utah, Denver, but the way that he does it is just so like he really puts like something in your chest that it's like like there's nothing to even try. So I would
yeah.
I would probably consider going with him. Me personally, I had it exactly the exact same weight in the list. Well, I was fumbling between Giannis and Jokic simply because Giannis has won a ring and he did come up clutch in those finals. Like I think he performed. What was that last game? I think he made like 15, 13 free throws.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. Yeah, he was like 17 out of 17 or something like that.
I would put in KD right now over LeBron simply because I think LeBron's ability to defend has gotten kind of down. He can still do it, but I think like if you try to, I mean they haven't played against each other since like what like the finals like.
Wow. Sorry, man. I just got an alert. Tom Brady is retiring.
Is he? Wow, is he really?
Yep, he just announced it. Wow. 22 seasons and 7 Super Bowls. That is crazy.
I didn't want to see it go that route.
Wow. It's kind of a bummer, man. He should have left last year. He could have left with a championship instead of losing in the last seconds to who was it? Matt Stafford that he lost to? That's
So
rough, man.
so the play that happened, it was the same play against the Chiefs where they had like a few seconds, but I don't know if the whistle blew at all for them to get a timeout and for them to get a field goal, but then it ended
Oh
up.
yeah, they it was the play where Cooper Cup just ran right down the middle of the field and they threw it and then they spiked the ball with like 5 seconds left and hit the field goal. Yeah, that's a tough way to go out, man. But I think he knows that Pat Mahomes is way better than him and he has absolutely no chance at ever winning a championship again. So it's a good time for him to retire.
Yeah, he was close though. I think he was close this season, but going back, I was gonna put KD because I think if you
Yeah.
let's say if let's say if they Lakers play the Nets, they're all fully healthy. I think I don't know. I think KD is gonna really like as much as I love LeBron. I think KD's just got at his day and age, he's able to do things with such. I've never seen a player, an athlete, come back from an Achilles injury and still be lanky and still be. He's a very thin guy, so it's easy for him. But the fact that the way that he came back, I think that it's just the game just comes so easy to him, and LeBron has to put
It
so
really
much.
does, man.
LeBron has to put so much work and effort and force that without his strength, LeBron is a very different player without his strength. But KD is somebody who's just depends on his he doesn't really have to depend on much. He's like a 7 footer who can shoot from like anywhere.
Well, and yeah, and LeBron, he just doesn't have the stamina anymore. I mean, you see it in the games that he plays these days. I mean, even though he's like pretty easily putting up 30 points a game, I think if he's like shooting the ball better than he ever has in his career, right? So he's averaging these points because he's shooting the ball well. It's not because he's going into the paint a bunch. He just doesn't have like the same amount of endurance that KD has these
Mm-hmm.
days. And it makes, I mean, you're talking about 6 years and I don't know what 20,000 minutes of basketball difference between them. So of course he doesn't. Like it'd be unreasonable for him to have the same energy as a
And
guy 5 years
and
younger than
and
him.
it only makes sense because KD, his game is not particularly athleticism. His game
Mm-hmm.
is just get in the post and just lean back and shoot. Like, he
Yep.
doesn't really have to like exert himself so much. So I would put KD, LeBron, Giannis, Jokic, and then Ja. Like if I'm talking about like the top five right now, that's how I would do it. Even though, like I said, LeBron's playing like incredible, but they're losing. So KD's hurt. So if you look at it the exact order, I think you might just have a battle between Ja and Jokic and for like MVP. You still have the rest of the season. You still have the rest of like the All Star games and everything to play out. But
Yeah.
that's how I would put it. So did you want to before we end this call? Did you want to ask me like any specific basketball questions? Because I know we always have like our debates here and there, and I know we always have different like teams or anything like that.
Yeah. I had one for you. I was listening to a podcast a couple of days ago. Man, I'm blanking out on who it was. Anyways, it was a very good podcast, and they were talking about which two guys would you take going forward for like the next 10 years. So you can take two guys from any NBA franchise. They obviously have to be on the same team, right? So you're taking any two guys, and they can be whatever age you want. Like if you want to pick LeBron, I mean, very smart because he's not going to play for 10 more years. But if you wanted to pick LeBron and AD, you could, right? So the idea is you pick two players. Who do you think can win the most championships in the next 10 years?
Within the next 10 years, and they have to be on the same team.
They got to be on the same team. So I mean, let's talk about some of the people you could talk about, right? Like Ja,
I kind of have my mind made up already.
Ja and Jaren is a pretty good start, right? What
I
about
think.
what about like Darius Garland and Evan Mobley though? That's pretty good.
I
What
think.
about like who else? What about Giannis and Chris Middleton? Like they're both still like upper 20s. Like 10 years, you might get four shots at a championship.
I was gonna say. Well, I have to take age and injury into an account, which sucks.
Yep.
My first thing that was gonna hop onto my head, if this was like maybe, I don't know really know what time period, because they didn't start developing their game until like recently. Um, at first I was gonna go Katie and Harden, but the fact that they're getting older is kind of sucks. I
They
was
are
think
older, and Harden's looking a little bit slower, right? Katie's had a lot of injury issues.
I was thinking about Chris Paul and Devin Booker, but Chris Paul is old. I don't know if people.
You could do Booker and Aiton, or you could do Booker and Bridges.
I don't know, man. Aiden kind of in that last finals run.
He was really good against the best centers, though, right? Like he did really
He
well
was,
against
yeah.
Jokic. I think he'd do really well against Embiid, and he stood his ground against Giannis. Like
And he's the
Giannis
only
destroyed
option.
him,
That's the thing. He
but
was.
he was really good against, like, still very good. So
I would. I
yeah, I
would.
think they're in the conversation.
If I'm take if with that question, if I'm taking it in like 10 years from now, um,
No, not 10 years from now. For the next 10 years,
yeah. So for the
starting
next,
now, right?
yeah.
And
So
going
starting
for
now
10 years,
for the
right?
next 10 years, um, I'm taking athleticism into account. So I'm gonna have to go Giannis and Chris Middleton.
Mm,
If it's just because it's like the way that they play. I think Giannis is only gonna keep improving. I think he has such a burst of athleticism that he only has to take a couple steps. So I don't think as far as him getting hurt, it'll be that much. I think if Chris Middleton
yeah,
can improve his like ball handling skills, so that way Giannis doesn't always have the ball in his hands. He can already get
yeah.
his own shots, but I'm talking about at least running the offense. I think that'll help for the next 10 years. I'm definitely going. I'm definitely going Giannis. Who'd you have? Did you have anybody
It's
different or?
it's tough, man. I think there are a lot of good ones. I think you could do something like, I mean, yeah, I mean, I think every team has two really good guys for the most part, right? Like even somebody like Miami, where most of their better players are older, you could pick Bam and like
Tyler Hero.
Tyler Hero,
Yeah.
right? And yeah, and then you've got 10 good years probably of both of them being healthy and being really good players. I think Chicago's pretty fun. You could take Lonzo and Levine. Like that's a good crew
Hmm.
right there. I really love the Cleveland one. I think, like I said earlier, I got to see the Cavs play the Grizzlies the first game of the season, and Mobley was playing. And dude, like after 3 minutes, you could tell that the guy was going to be elite. Like
Hmm.
he switched onto Ja like real early into the game and like defended him well. And if you're a rookie coming into the league defending Ja Morant like well, like on a possession early into the
Hmm.
game, like you're gonna be a good player. Like I'm sorry, like that's just it.
I hate that it
Um,
seems like I'm biased, but I mainly pick them simply because I take postseason into account. So it's
yeah.
like
Well, I listen, man. I'm gonna be biased too because if I'm really boiling down to it, I'm taking Ja and Jaren. I am.
okay.
I think really the only other person that you could pick above that is Luca and just one of his teammates because Luca is just that incredible.
I don't want to say Kristaps because
Yeah,
I
see,
haven't seen like a consistent 20 to 30 and
but
12
that
type
right.
thing.
But that's the issue with Luca, right? Is he doesn't have that guy to pair with him for the next 10 years. Ja does. Jaren is gonna be one of the best five defensive players in the NBA for the next decade straight. Like he will be, and he's already becoming an elite offensive talent and has an incredibly high ceiling. for a really big guy. And Ja is like already a top 10 player in the NBA,
Jared
could
Allen,
be
correct?
easily
Right?
top five by the end of the year. Jaren Jackson Jr.
Oh, sorry. I thought it was Jared.
Yeah, yeah. Ja could be a top five by the end of the year. And like that's who I'm taking going forward. If I have 10 years to win as many championships as possible. So that's fun for me because I'm from Memphis, so that's all I care about.
So I didn't hear you say anything about the Hawks or the because I think the people like it sounded like a lot of high flyers. You know, like the guy who plays on the Hawks and then Miles Bridges. I think it's John Collins who plays on the Hawks. So you don't see like any pairing with Trey and John Collins or maybe Lamelo
Yeah, I mean,
Miles
I
Bridges?
think I think Trey and Collins is a good one. I think Lamelo Ball and Miles Bridges is a good one. I think you could definitely argue those guys in the top five. But I would take Jokic and Murray over any of those guys.
Where
Like
is
I
he
think
at? Is he
Jokic.
coming back?
He's supposed to be back in like March, I think. So though that I think if you're really getting down to it, that's the one other duo that I think you could really argue have a better shot than John Jaren for the next decade is Jokic and Murray together because those guys are insane together.
Okay, this is how we're gonna do this. I'm gonna pick and you're gonna pick. Who's
All
winning the
right.
championships this year?
Ooh, I
I
thought
got.
you were picking first then.
I'll pick first.
All right, you pick first. You
I
pick first.
think I think if we're looking at a healthy
You gotta say
roster,
who's gonna be in the finals and then who's gonna win it.
who is gonna be in the finals from the West? I have to. I think. I hate to say this, but I think the fact that if Draymond comes back healthy, I think the Warriors are making it to the finals. I think
Yeah,
just those three together, the way that they play together, is like a ball movement that um, that you just don't really see like in a while. They just don't like shoot threes. The way that they run, like Seth is running like that 24-second shot clock. 20 of those seconds, he's running around
yeah,
picks and
man.
stuff like that.
Yeah,
Until he finds the ball off his screen, and then as far as the East is looking beautiful this year, man. The East, we got like five different teams who are contending. So I'm just gonna have
yeah.
to say, I don't know. I think from the East, I'm gonna go with Miami simply because they took PJ Tucker away. They took I think PJ Tucker was a key piece of the Bucks, and
Yeah.
now I don't think Giannis and them have like another lockdown defender, but who can also hit shots like that. I think
Mm.
I think they just gave that away. So I'm just gonna have to say Warriors and Miami. Bulls are still very young,
Yeah.
so
You're saying the Warriors are going to win it all though?
I,
Is that what
I I think if they're healthy, the Warriors are gonna win it all. I didn't put the Nets
Yeah.
simply because, um, I mean, let's say if Kyrie doesn't even play, let's say if he doesn't even play, which most likely he won't be able to get a play because he's not getting vaccinated, of course. But if when you saw from KD and Harden like last year in the playoffs, they weren't able to do much against like the East when it comes to size related. They have like a lot of old players like in the size position, so they can't play any like, defense. So I don't think
Yeah.
I think that's the reason why I'm not picking them there. I don't think their defense
Yeah.
is gonna be good enough to stop like the Bucks or like a Miami team simply because they can all score at like an elite level, but I think the scoring is eventually going to match up with itself. It's just going to come down with who can get like a lot more stops, and I think eventually Miami, like they did against the Lakers, went on like a 20. They were up by like 27 the entire game, and then
Right.
I would just have to go with. I mean, against Miami and Warriors, I'd probably have to go with Golden State. I
Mm.
don't want to. Do I want to see it? No, I want to. I want LeBron. I'm just losing hope right now for the Lakers because
Yeah.
they're not
That's
like
fair.
then like they get all their pieces together, but then they lose. I don't understand why. So
Yeah, no, I'm definitely not picking the Lakers. No, I mean, I think there's a really good chance that we'll see a Phoenix Milwaukee rematch in the finals.
really,
I think both of them have the best teams in each conference in terms of like how they play together. They're 1 through 12 guys. I think the one other team in the East that has an argument above Milwaukee is Miami, but I just trust Milwaukee's talent a lot more. I think the one team that has an argument against Phoenix is Golden State, but I trust Phoenix's
Phoenix is yeah.
team. I just
I
trust their
think I think
team more.
Phoenix is just more constructed around like the defensive end. I think it's
Yeah.
just
Well,
and
and
then
I think it's unreasonable to ask Clay to help carry a team all the way to the finals when he's just come back. Like I just don't think he's going to be elite enough. Like I think Curry will be really good, and if Draymond's healthy, he'll be really good. But I think you need a third guy, and I don't think Clay's going to have enough.
I
And
think
I
Clay might have
trust,
like 12 or 17. Like he's gonna do
yeah,
what he can, but I still think like Phoenix is gonna eventually match what you know. I think Phoenix is gonna match really well what the Warriors do, and I think they might beat them. I think, but it all really depends because I've seen Chris Paul go up against Steph Curry a lot of times, and it hasn't been he's been jinxed by injuries and stuff like that. So
right.
let's hope that I would hope that DeAndre Ayton has something for Draymond, but
Yeah.
I still need to see if they've because I haven't really noticed who Phoenix picked up in the last year ever since they lost the finals. I haven't they picked up a couple pieces. Of course, they re-signed Chris Paul, but and they're still I forgot what seed are they in the West. I think they have the best record. I believe they have the
They
best
do.
record.
They don't even, yeah, they still don't even have double digit losses yet, which is pretty incredible. Yeah, I mean, if I had to choose between those two teams, I would probably pick Milwaukee again. I just trust Giannis to have another dominant finals and Phoenix not to be able to stop them. And I don't think Booker is good enough to be the number one guy to match Giannis yet. But I think it'll be close, man. But it's gonna be a fun season. I mean, I think like you said, we legitimately have 5 or 6 teams in the East who are competing for it, and I think you've got 4 or 5 in the West that are competing for it, and then you've got the Lakers hanging around with enough talent to make a run in theory. So it's like the most wide open the NBA has been in a long time, and it should be a fun run to the playoffs here.
Listen, if it's Bucks against Phoenix, I'm gonna have to go with the Bucks simply because watching DeAndre go match up with their bigs, it was
Yeah.
just him. So he couldn't. He had the one extra guy that they had. He was injured, so they didn't really have much. But I think Giannis is that player who's just gonna drop 40, and he's capable of
Yep.
dropping 50,
You're
and
right.
there's nothing that anybody can do about it. Um, but listen. I just really want to appreciate you for taking the time because I know we haven't talked in like maybe like almost like 1 to 2 years, and I mean, I know if you were still around New York, this would probably be the situation where we would all watch Spider-Man: No Way Home.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You probably saw it already.
Of course, of course.
I saw it like twice in one day, and I didn't get home till like
Right.
2 in the morning.
That's a good day.
From but do you plan on coming back up here anytime soon or no? Or are you planning on ever moving back up to New York or no?
Yeah, yeah. So one of the schools I applied to is New York University. They have a really good public policy program there as well. So I hear back from them the last day of February about whether I got into the school. So we'll definitely keep you updated about that.
Hmm.
But I'll be in the Northeast like 100% and once the fall hits. And hopefully we'll be able to be doing some traveling and stuff. And so once I'm in the Northeast, even if it's in DC or, I applied to Harvard, which is in Boston. I applied to a couple other schools. Even if I'm not in New York, it's a lot easier to get to New York
Hmm.
from the Northeast as opposed to where I am, which is
Yeah.
super far away in Memphis. Like if I was to
Yeah.
drive from here, it would be like 17 hours of driving to get to New York.
Hmm.
From DC, it's like 4. So that's a
Yeah.
big difference. So yeah, man, I'll be up in New York at some point soon. Maybe not this summer, but
Dorm
especially like
or
in the
were you
fall.
dorm? Were you
Um,
dorm?
it it depends. Most of the schools have graduate housing available. It just depends on prices and what
Yeah,
city I
because
end up going to and all that sort of stuff.
from what I know, I'm pretty sure it's like less if you do live in the state, or if you it might cost more if you are like living in like out of state or something like that in order to dorm. I'm not too sure because I know I'm not gonna be starting college till I'm like 24. So in the meantime, uh, I've just been trying to make like a lot of like films and do like a lot of
Yeah.
YouTube stuff. Try new ideas, try stuff like this because I know in terms of sports, usually all my other friends they like talk about it, but it's not really many. I only know like 1 to 2 people who actually like know about it,
Mm.
you know. Or some people who just try to debate me who have absolutely no idea what they're talking about. So listen,
Yeah, man. Hey, listen, happy to do this more. Definitely have time going forward. And next time we'll have to figure out some things we disagree about so we can just argue the whole time.
I mean, we we'll try. It's tough because we both. I mean, come on. When LeBron's our favorite player, and then we also I don't know. The Lakers are. I don't know. I mean, I could say that I still think that the Lakers have some hope, but you say that Lakers don't have any hope. So that's something we could disagree about because
There you go.
I don't want I don't want to I don't want them to just go out in the first round or something like that.
Yeah.
Listen, of course, next time I'm gonna have a lot more. I'm gonna have a different set of topics in mind. I think
Okay.
once after like the All Star break, we'll be able to find like some more details into like
Yeah.
who's coming back from like injury, and
Mm.
like I want to see like fully like what the bracket is looking like, because then we'll be able to see like who's like matching well in the playoffs. Like
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be dope. So like I said, again, I appreciate your time, and like I said, I'm definitely gonna once this is done, I'm definitely gonna be able to get to editing and sharing this on the YouTube, so that way people could. It's not we haven't had like a debate. We haven't debated about anything. If it's like I don't know if you watch Skip and Shannon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, it's tough. We gotta find topics that we gotta like argue about. But now I'm kind of
It's
upset
all
because
right. You just got to refine it over time. That's the key. But yeah, man, I had fun, man. It was definitely good chatting with you. And yeah, man, just hit me up. As long as I have like a week or two notice, for the most part, I'm able to find like a couple hours here and there. So yeah, man, just text me and definitely send me the video once you've got it posted up so I can check
yeah,
it out.
yeah. Once it's uploaded, I'll send you the link. But now it's time for me to go eat some pizza. But like I
All right,
said,
bro.
you
Yeah,
stay
man.
safe, and I hope you have a
Yeah,
great
bro.
one. All right, thank you.
Yeah, it's great talking to you. I'll talk to you soon, bud.
All right, talk to you later.